Okay, let's unpack this. When we think about getting older, the narrative often points towards decline, doesn't it?
Yeah, definitely. Creaking joints, fading memories, sort of a general winding down.
Right. But what if that's not the whole picture? What if this final stage of life, say from 60 onwards, is actually, well, a distinct developmental phase?
Exactly. With its own unique challenges, yes, but also adaptations and incredible potential for growth.
And that's where this AI analysis comes in, which sounds fascinating.
Yeah, it really is. What we have access to here is an AI-driven synthesis, basically. It's taken this monumental stack of sources.
And all sorts of fields.
Everything. Genetics, psychology, philosophy, even principles of good governance. And it's distilled it all into a kind of schematic.
Like a map.
Sort of, yeah. Think of it as illuminating the fundamental principles or maybe even the underlying code governing this whole period.
Okay. So our mission in this deep dive then is?
It's really to help you navigate this life stage with hopefully greater understanding and, enhanced agency using these insights.
Right. So what does this actually mean for you listening? We're going to explore how biological changes cascade.
How they ripple through the body.
And how the psyche, maybe surprisingly, evolves towards something the AI calls a positivity effect.
Which is a really interesting concept.
Definitely. And we'll look at what an AI-suggested operating system for optimal aging might look like.
A kind of framework for thriving.
Exactly. And crucially, how culture and even good governance play a huge role in shaping this, final, powerful chapter.
Yeah, it's all interconnected.
So yeah, get ready for some potentially illuminating insights.
The foundational code universal principles of the aging human.
Okay, let's start with what the AI terms the foundational code. These universal principles that sort of govern us as we age. Now, often when we think aging, we jump straight to disease, right?
Yeah.
But the AI makes a clear distinction.
It does, and it's a crucial one. It separates primary aging from secondary aging.
Okay, so primary aging is what exactly?
Yeah. Primary aging is about the intrinsic, unavoidable hardware changes, stuff that happens independent of any specific disease.
Really? Give me an example.
Well, take the cardiovascular system. Blood vessels tend to stiffen a bit. The heart might have to work slightly harder. That's primary.
Okay. Or in the musculoskeletal system.
Right. Bones might shrink a bit in density. That's osteopenia, and muscles gradually lose some mass and strength. Sarcopenia, that's called.
Ah, sarcopenia. Heard of that. So these are just normal shifts.
Pretty much universal, yeah. Part of the standard aging process.
And it's not just the big systems, is it? The AI mentioned sensory changes too, like holding the menu further away.
Definitely. That's presbyopia trouble with close focus. Or increased sensitivity to glare, even hearing changes.
Presbycusis.
That's the one. Especially for high-frequency sounds. And the AI notes this can actually impact social life, sometimes leading to withdrawal if it's difficult to follow conversations.
And even things like slower digestion or needing the loo more often.
Yep. Slower digestive system, a less elastic bladder. Those are also part of these inherent primary shifts.
Okay, so that's primary aging, the unavoidable stuff. What about secondary aging then?
So secondary aging is different. These are changes caused by specific illnesses, diseases, and importantly, environmental or lifestyle factors.
So not inevitable.
Exactly. Not inevitable. This is where things like arthritis, heart disease, stroke, type 2 diabetes come in.
And these can lead to those geriatric syndromes you mentioned.
Yes. Things like frailty or recurrent falls. They're complex states often stemming from multiple underlying issues, often linked to secondary aging factors.
So frailty isn't just being old, it's a specific syndrome.
Correct. It implies diminished strength, endurance, reduced function, increased vulnerability, basically.
Oh, okay. But the AI's big insight here was about modifiability.
Hugely important point. While genetics play a role, the AI analysis stresses that the vast majority of your health status in older age comes down to physical and social environments and lifelong behaviors.
So its trajectory is highly modifiable.
That's the key takeaway. Highly modifiable.
Which is powerful, because these things don't happen in isolation, right? The AI talked about a cascade effect.
Precisely. Let's take that sarcopenia example, muscle loss.
Okay.
So sarcopenia leads to reduced mobility, maybe poorer balance.
Which increases fall risk.
Right. And if bones are already less dense due to primary aging, maybe some osteopenia.
That fall is more likely to cause a fracture. Ouch.
Exactly. But then it cascades further. Fear of falling might make you more sedentary
Which makes the sarcopenia worse.
and can impact cardiovascular health, lead to social isolation, even depression. It's a real domino effect, like you said.
So it's not just one system failing, it's all interconnected.
That's the core AI insight. Aging isn't isolated failures, it's interconnected events. A decline here triggers feedback loops elsewhere.
So any effective intervention needs to be
Multi-component. You can't just target, say, fall prevention in isolation. You need to address muscle strength, bone density, balance, confidence, social engagement, all together.
to break those negative cycles. And hopefully promote resilience instead.
The evolving psyche, cognitive, emotional, and psychological restructuring.
Okay, so from the body's code, let's move to the mind. The AI's insights on the evolving psyche. These were genuinely surprising, weren't they?
They really challenge some common assumptions, yeah.
Like the idea that cognitive decline is just inevitable. The AI says, yes, there might be some general slowness in thinking, maybe difficulty multitasking.
Which is considered normal cognitive aging, quite subtle usually.
But the brain still has plasticity. It can still change and adapt.
Absolutely. The AI emphasizes this strongly. Older adults can definitely still learn new skills, form new memories, even improve vocabulary.
And what about accumulated knowledge?
That's what's often called crystallized intelligence, and that can actually grow.
So wisdom really can increase with age.
In many ways, yes. It's why older adults often outperform younger ones on certain wisdom-based tests. The brain's capacity for growth is lifelong.
That's a much more positive picture, but it's crucial to distinguish this normal aging from, say, dementia. Critically important distinction. The AI is very clear. Dementia is not a normal part of aging.
Right, so conditions like mild cognitive impairment, MCI, or dementia itself, those are different.
Yes, they represent a decline that's more severe than expected for age and actually interferes with daily tasks and independence.
Did the AI highlight any warning signs people should be aware of? Things that might signal something more than normal aging?
It pointed to things like getting lost in familiar places, asking the same questions repeatedly, noticeable personality changes, or a decline in planning abilities.
But again, the hopeful message here is modifiable risk factors.
Yes, many risk factors for this kind of abnormal decline are modifiable. Things like managing type 2 diabetes, controlling high blood pressure, avoiding midlife obesity, not smoking, treating depression, and staying physically and mentally active.
So there's agency there too.
Definitely agency.
Now, maybe the most counterintuitive part the AI uncovered was about emotions, this positivity effect.
Yeah, this is really fascinating. Research consistently shows that older adults, on average, report more positive emotions.
More happiness, contentment.
Exactly. And fewer negative emotions, like anger or anxiety, compared to younger adults.
So life gets calmer emotionally, more stable.
That seems to be the pattern. And the AI highlights that this isn't just passive. Older adults seem to get better at emotion regulation.
How so?
Well, they become more skilled at avoiding stressful situations or reappraising negative events in a more positive light. It's a kind of emotional mastery that becomes more efficient.
Leading to greater equanimity, focus on what matters, less anxiety.
Precisely. Greater emotional stability overall.
And this links into psychosocial development, right? Erickson's final stage. Integrity versus despair.
Reflecting on life. If you see it as meaningful, successful, that leads to integrity, acceptance.
But if it feels unproductive, full of regrets, that's despair, hopelessness, maybe depression.
That's the idea. And the AI notes that while old theories talked about disengagement.
Like withdrawing from life.
Yeah, those are largely discredited now. The evidence strongly supports activity theory, staying active and engaged is key, and continuity theory.
Which is about
maintaining your core identity, values, relationships, keeping that sense of self continuous.
Of course, this stage isn't without its challenges. The AI mentions psychosocial stressors.
Big ones. Death of loved ones, retirement, maybe loss of independence, changes in socioeconomic status. These can lead to grief, loneliness, anxiety, if not met with good coping strategies and social support.
Which brings us to this. Remarkable adaptive strategic shift the AI posits.
Yeah, this is where it gets really interesting. It's the paradox. Physical abilities might decline, some cognitive processing might slow.
But emotional well-being often increases.
Exactly. And the AI suggests this is an adaptive strategy. As your perception of time remaining shrinks, your goals shift.
Away from
knowledge acquisition, future striving, towards maximizing present moment emotional satisfaction.
Ah, okay, so your motivation changes.
Right. And this motivational shift directs your cognitive resources, attention, memory, towards positive information. That's the positivity effect in action.
And that cultivated emotional stability provides resilience.
Yes, the psychological resilience needed to cope with the inevitable losses, helping avoid that downward spiral into despair.
So the goal isn't really fighting aging.
The AI reframes it. It's more about mastering the art of late-life adaptation by actively fostering positive emotions, finding purpose, and building that sense of integrity.
The AI-suggested operating system, a framework for optimal human functioning.
Okay, that's a perfect segue into part 2. The AI-suggested operating system for optimal functioning. This is about how to thrive.
Exactly. Moving from understanding to application.
The AI breaks it down into pillars. First up, physical vitality. What did the AI identify as the single most powerful thing you can do here?
Hands down, multi-component physical activity. Not just one type, but a blend.
A blend, meaning?
Meaning aerobic activity like brisk walking, swimming for heart and lung health. At least 150 minutes moderate or 75 vigorous per week.
Okay. Moderate's like you can talk but not sing.
That's a good gauge, yeah. Then, crucially, strength training.
For muscles and bones, combating that sarcopenia and osteopenia.
Precisely. At least 2 days a week, hitting all major muscle groups.
Yeah.
Weights, resistance bands, even body weight exercises like push-ups, to the point where another rep feels difficult.
Got it. And the third component?
Balance and flexibility. Also, at least a couple of days a week. Think standing on one leg, walking backward, tai chi, yoga, stretching, directly targets fall prevention.
So it's a comprehensive package. Aerobic, strength, balance.
That's the ideal, yes. Synergistic approach.
And the AI also mentioned just sitting less.
Yes. Reducing sedentarism. Breaking up long periods of sitting, even just standing up, walking around the house periodically. It all has benefits.
Okay. What about the other side of physical vitality? Nutrition.
Key insight here. Caloric needs might decrease, but nutrient needs often increase or stay the same.
So fewer calories, but they need to be packed with good stuff. Nutrient density.
Exactly. Nutrient density is paramount. The AI highlights evidence-based patterns like the Mediterranean diet.
Lots of produce, whole grains, lean protein, healthy fats like olive oil, fish.
Yep. And the DASH diet as well. Both are proven to support brain function and cardiovascular health.
Any specific nutrients the AI flagged for older adults?
It did. Increased protein intake to help counteract sarcopenia. Adequate calcium and vitamin D for bone health, dairy, fortified foods, leafy greens, fatty fish, sun exposure.
Okay.
Vitamin B12 absorption can decrease, so that's important, found in fortified cereals, animal products, maybe supplements, and sufficient fiber and fluids for digestive health.
And eliminating the bad stuff. Sugars, saturated fats.
Absolutely. Limiting added sugars, saturated fats found in pastries and processed meats, and sodium is also key.
Right. Moving to the second pillar, cognitive and mental resilience. Cultivating the mind. The old use it or lose it applies here.
Very much so. According to the AI, staying mentally active is crucial. Engaging in activities that require focused mental effort. Taking a class, reading challenging material, learning a new skill like an instrument or language, playing strategic games like chess or Sudoku.
Things that build new neural pathways.
Exactly. But it's not just mental exercises in isolation. The mind-body connection is vital.
Physical activity helps the brain too.
Immensely. Increases blood flow, nourishes brain cells, reduces risks like hypertension and diabetes, which harm cognition. They're inextricably linked.
And social activity. Does that play a role cognitively?
A big one. The AI flagged social interaction as potent cognitive exercise. Conversations, planning social activities, navigating group dynamics, it all stimulates the brain.
Plus, it helps with stress and depression, which can impair thinking.
Right. It's a buffer against those negative states.
Okay, what about strategies specifically for mental and emotional well-being?
The AI suggests some practical things. Routine and structure can provide stability and a sense of control.
Makes sense.
Mindfulness and stress management practices, meditation, journaling, spending time in nature can reduce stress and anxiety significantly.
And purpose. We touched on that earlier.
Crucial. Finding and maintaining a sense of purpose is a powerful driver of well-being, even linked to longevity.
So that could be continuing work, volunteering, mentoring, hobbies, caring for family.
Anything that feels personally meaningful and engaging.
And what if you're struggling? If
Yeah.
you feel persistently down or anxious?
The AI framework stresses seeking help. Mental health conditions like depression or anxiety are treatable. They are not normal parts of aging, and getting timely treatment dramatically improves quality of life.
Good point. Okay, Pillar 3, social and environmental integration. The individual and their ecosystem. Social connection. It doesn't become less important.
Its importance actually increases, the AI suggests. Loneliness and social isolation are major public health risks.
How major?
The negative impact is comparable to smoking 15 cigarettes a day, or obesity, or physical inactivity. It's linked to depression, anxiety, heart disease, cognitive decline, even a weakened immune system.
Wow, that's serious. So the benefits of connection are?
Huge. Emotional support, sense of belonging, purpose, self-esteem. Plus, socially active people tend to maintain healthier behaviors, have better cognitive function, and live longer.
What kind of strategies did the AI suggest for staying connected?
Nurturing existing ties, simple calls, visits, engaging in the community through clubs, senior centers, faith groups, volunteering combines social interaction with purpose, and embracing technology.
Video calls, email.
Exactly. Overcoming distance. There are even classes to help older adults get comfortable with tech.
Beyond personal connections, the environment itself matters. The AI mentioned the WHO's age-friendly framework.
Yes, this really highlights how our physical and social surroundings can be either barriers or enablers.
It's not just about ramps, is it?
Not at all. It covers 8 domains: outdoor spaces and buildings, transportation, housing, social participation, respect and inclusion, civic participation and employment, communication, and community support and health services.
That's comprehensive. It really reinforces that health is biopsychosocial.
Perfectly put. Biological, psychological, and social environmental factors are all interdependent. Society structure either helps or hinders healthy aging.
And part of that environment.
The AI confirms profound therapeutic benefits. Connecting with nature reduces stress, anger, anxiety, improves mood,
Physically.
encourages activity, gives you vitamin D from sunlight. It's linked to lower mortality, reduced risk of cardiovascular disease and cancer.
And mentally. Socially.
Improves memory and attention by up to 20% in some studies. And it provides a great venue for social interaction, combating isolation.
So looking at these pillars, physical, cognitive, mental, social, environmental, the AI sees them as integrated.
Absolutely. Not separate columns, but a synergistic architecture.
Can you give an example of how that synergy works, how interventions can be multifaceted?
Sure. The AI points out, say, joining a community gardening group. That single activity can address physical activity.
Digging, planting,
Social connection with other gardeners,
chatting, working together.
mental stimulation planning, learning about plants, purpose, and connection with nature, all at once.
Ah, I see. So a failure in one area can pull others down.
Exactly. Mobility loss might lead to isolation, which worsens depression, which impacts cognitive and physical health, further a negative cascade.
But a positive intervention can create upward spirals.
That's the idea. The AI suggests focusing on packages of interventions that create these reinforcing positive feedback loops. Healthy aging isn't just one thing, it's an emergent property of this dynamic interplay between all the pillars.
The cultural matrix navigating human diversity and conflict.
Okay, let's broaden the lens now to the cultural matrix. Because aging might be universal, but how we experience it, that's hugely shaped by culture, isn't it?
Profoundly. The AI analysis really digs into this spectrum. It contrasts collectivist and individualist societies, for example.
So collectivist cultures, like in East Asia or Latin America.
Often, yes. Rooted in collectivism, strong family bonds, you see concepts like filial piety, deep respect, and a duty to care for elders.
Multi-generational households are more common, elders seen as heads of the family.
Frequently, their wisdom is sought. The AI even notes China has a law making it illegal to neglect parents.
Wow. Okay, and contrast that with individualist cultures, North America, parts of Europe.
There, the emphasis is often more on independence, self-reliance. Senior living might be viewed as an empowering choice for autonomy and social engagement. Society can sometimes feel more youth-centered.
And care models differ too.
Right. Think of Scandinavian countries, where government-funded professional elder care is more the norm.
But the AI also noted challenges even in collectivist cultures.
Yeah, things like urbanization, more women in the workforce, economic pressures. These can strain traditional family care models, so it's not always simple, and underscores the need for culturally competent care everywhere.
Understanding different communication styles, traditions, family roles.
Exactly. Dietary needs, health beliefs, end-of-life rituals. Effective care has to be sensitive to all that.
Now, this led the AI down an interesting path. The user asked why humans sometimes try to get rid of other cultures. How did the AI connect this back to aging?
It's a powerful connection.
Yeah.
The AI explained this through the psychology of othering, categorizing a group as different, then deeming them inferior or threatening. It dismantles empathy.
Creates an us versus them.
Right. And the AI's key takeaway is that these destructive social dynamics, if they run rampant, directly undermine the social cohesion and support systems crucial for age-friendly societies.
The very things needed for culturally competent care for elders.
Precisely. The AI brought in theories like social identity theory. We boost our self-esteem by favoring our in-group and can belittle out-groups, especially under perceived threat.
A realistic conflict theory. Competition over resources.
Yeah, jobs, land, power. When groups feel they're competing for scarce resources, hostility can flourish.
And the AI suggested this is a dangerous feedback loop. Our tendency to categorize gets weaponized by bigger pressures.
Exactly. Our innate tendency to categorize, which likely evolved for social cohesion, becomes toxic when activated by macro-level things like economic scarcity or political instability or manipulation by leaders.
Structure provides the excuse they're taking our jobs, and psychology provides the emotional fuel.
Well put. It increases in-group solidarity, ethnocentrism, and makes conflict more likely.
So if that's the problem, what's the solution according to the AI? How do we mitigate this?
The AI concluded it'd have to be dual-pronged. You need micro-level efforts, intergroup contact, education to increase empathy and understanding. But that's not enough on its own.
You need macro-level changes, too.
Yes. Good governance that ensures resource equity, political fairness, justice.
Yeah.
You need to remove the structural triggers that ignite the psychological biases in the first place.
It comes back to building societies where everyone, including elders from all backgrounds, can thrive.
That's the essence of it, which leads directly to the challenge of applying universal principles in a diverse world.
Right. The AI stresses that a one-size-fits-all approach to guidance is ineffective, even unethical.
Totally. Take a universal biological need, like protein. The need is universal, but the methods for meeting it, acceptable food sources, who prepares it, social context of meals, are deeply cultural.
So interventions have to be culturally relevant.
They must be. And the AI actually applies established frameworks for this, often used in public health.
How does that work?
It's a process. First, planning and info gathering, consulting community leaders, the target population, understanding their values, beliefs, needs.
Then adaptation.
Preliminary adaptation. 2 levels. Surface structure is matching materials, language translation, culturally appropriate images, maybe using trusted local figures.
Okay. And deep structure.
That's integrating the culture's core values and norms, how they understand illness, family roles, gender dynamics, religious beliefs, issues like stigma, things that really affect behavior.
And finally, testing.
Testing and refinement. Pilot test with a small group, get feedback on whether it feels right, if it's feasible, then adjust.
So where does AI fit into this process? Can it just generate culturally perfect advice?
Not on its own. The AI can be a powerful analytical tool. It can sift through data to spot potential cultural friction points, maybe suggest initial surface adaptations.
Suggesting gender-specific walk-in groups if mixed groups aren't culturally comfortable.
Exactly. But the AI itself emphasizes the human-in-the-loop imperative here.
Meaning?
AI generates hypotheses, maybe first drafts. But the validation, the fine-tuning, ensuring true cultural resonance, that must be done by humans.
Community members, cultural experts.
Yes. They need to co-design the final interventions to ensure they're meaningful, respectful, and actually work in that specific context. AI augments human judgment. It doesn't replace it.
The governance layer structuring society for collective flourishing.
Okay. That leads us nicely into part 4, the governance layer. How society itself needs to be structured.
Because the AI makes it crystal clear. Your individual ability to thrive in later life isn't just about your choices.
It depends heavily on the society around you.
Profoundly. Access to safe parks for that exercise, affordable healthy food, quality healthcare, social opportunities. These are direct results of public policy and governance.
So good governance is foundational.
It's the bedrock, according to the AI analysis. It highlights key principles, like the rule of law.
Meaning predictable, fair laws applied equally, protecting everyone's rights.
Exactly, including legal protection for older adults' rights and safety. Then there's voice and accountability.
Citizens having a say. Free elections, free media.
Yes, ensuring governments actually respond to the needs of the population, including an aging population.
Right. What else?
Government effectiveness and regulatory quality. This is about the government's actual capacity to make and implement good policies, having a competent civil service, sensible regulations.
Turning political will into real outcomes like good healthcare or transport.
Precisely. And finally, control of corruption, making sure public power serves the collective good, not private gain, so resources actually go to essential services.
This also touches on leadership, doesn't it? What makes for effective leadership in this context?
The AI points to core attributes. Integrity is fundamental, a strong moral compass, ethics, building trust.
The basis of public confidence.
Absolutely. Then vision and inspiration leaders need to articulate a compelling vision for a better society, mobilize energy towards shared goals.
They need to be effective, functional.
Yes, a functional and transformational approach, meeting the group's practical needs, ensuring things work, but also motivating people to look beyond self-interest for the collective good.
And the direct link here is?
It's unavoidable. Your ability as an average person to follow the AI's micro-level suggestions for healthy aging, eat well, exercise safely, stay connected, is directly enabled or constrained by the quality of this macro-level governance.
Safe parks need government investment. Healthy food access depends on policy.
Exactly. It's a political point in the broadest sense. Individual well-being depends on a well-governed society.
Which brings us to the AI guide itself. It has to operate ethically, right?
Critically important. The AI analysis references the UNESCO framework as a global standard. Any AI guiding human development has to be grounded in core values.
Like respect for human rights, dignity, diversity.
Yes, and specific principles. Proportionality and do no harm, safety, fairness, sustainability, privacy, human oversight, transparency, accountability. The list goes on.
What are some of the specific AI risks the analysis flagged in this social context?
Well, a major one is bias and fairness. If the AI learns from biased data, it can perpetuate or even amplify existing disparities.
So the mitigation is?
Using diverse representative data, continuous auditing for bias, building inclusivity in from the start.
What about undermining our autonomy? AI telling us what to do.
That's the autonomy and human agency risk. The AI stresses it must be designed as decision support, not command. Providing options, explaining rationale.
And the user always has the right to say no.
Always. The right to ignore or opt out is fundamental.
And that human-in-the-loop idea comes back again.
Yeah.
Especially for sensitive advice.
Crucial for things like nuanced health or cultural guidance. AI can do initial analysis, maybe suggest pathways, but skilled human professionals, doctors, therapists, cultural liaisons, must interpret, validate, and deliver that guidance empathetically and safely.
No black boxes either. We need to understand why the AI suggests something.
That's transparency and explainability, using techniques so the rationale is understandable, not opaque.
And finally, accountability. If things go wrong.
Responsibility and accountability. Clear legal and regulatory frameworks are needed to define who is liable, with comprehensive audit trails to understand how decisions were made. Outro. So, if we try and connect all these threads, this deep dive really reveals that the culmination of life, this later stage, it's an incredibly dynamic, interconnected system.
Yeah, you see how a positive step in one area like that gardening group example can create a virtuous cycle.
Exactly. Just as a decline in one area can trigger those negative cascades we talked about, understanding these interactions really feels key.
To mastering this final life stage, not just enduring it. So what does this all mean for you listening? This AI schematic, this framework.
Yeah.
It's not here to dictate your path, is it?
Not at all. It's about empowerment.
It's like a shortcut to some incredible insights, showing how you can actively cultivate physical vitality, cognitive resilience, deep social connection.
And how your environment plays into that.
Right. And this brings up that critical point about society, doesn't it?
It does. We've seen how crucial good governance and ethical leadership are for creating the conditions where individuals can flourish in later life.
There's a symbiosis there.
A real symbiosis, yeah. Between individual human experience, the analytical power of something like AI to help us understand complexity, and the structure of society itself. Getting that balance right seems critical for a more equitable, humane future.
Where everyone gets the chance to experience this final chapter fully.
That's the hope.
So as you reflect on this deep dive, maybe consider this. Knowing how profoundly interconnected everything is body, mind, society, environment, what specific, multifaceted steps could you take starting today?
Not just to age well, but to really master the art of late-life adaptation for yourself.
And perhaps thinking bigger. How can you advocate for the kind of balanced society that truly supports everyone in this incredible final chapter?
This is DigitView.